These are like basic principles I do with everyone. Water first, veggies most. Water helps you feel full. It helps you feel energized. It improves your mood. It actually keeps your stomach from rumbling. There's so many reasons and ways in which water helps with weight loss. Veggies are your best friend because that's what your stomach loves to fill up on for very low calories. And then all the other benefits it's doing for your gut health and microbiome, which can be helpful for your metabolic health and so much more. So veggies really are your best friend.
I talk about how important fiber is, especially as you get into perimenopause, menopause. If you're not hitting 25 grams or more a day, belly fat will be upon you. The research is clear. People will say, I disagree, you do not need fiber. What do you say to that?
Ilana Muhlstein
is a world-renowned dietitian, best-selling author, and the creator of the groundbreaking 2B Mindset weight loss program that has transformed hundreds of thousands of lives.
Once a teen who weighed over 200 pounds and struggled with emotional eating,
Ilana lost 100 pounds and turned her journey into a mission, making healthy living feel easy, empowering, and sustainable.
With over 3 million followers, the best-selling You Can Drop It book and podcast,
her hit video programs with Beachbody, and her #1 rated healthy meal delivery service, Ilana Meals,
she's become the go-to voice for realistic, results-driven nutrition that actually works.
Fiber is also a sweeper. It's also like the broom that just clears junk out of our body. So without it...
What are the red flags of weight loss plans that people should know about? If you see these red flags, walk away. This is not going to result in the kind of weight loss you want, which is sustainable and good for your hormones.
Huge red flag is anything...
Welcome back to the Dr. Brighten Show. I'm your host, Dr. Jolene Brighten. I'm board certified in naturopathic endocrinology, a nutrition scientist, a certified sex counselor, and a certified menopause specialist. As always, I'm bringing you the latest, most up-to-date information to help you take charge of your health and take back your hormones. If you enjoy this kind of information, I invite you to visit my website, drbrighten.com, where I have a ton of free resources for you, including a newsletter that brings you some of the best information, including updates on this podcast. Now, as always, this information is brought to you cost-free, and because of that, I have to say thank you to my sponsors for making this possible. It's my aim to make sure that you can have all the tools and resources in your hands and that we end the gatekeeping. And in order to do that, I do have to get support for this podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I know your time is so valuable and so important, and it's not lost on me that you're sharing it with me right now. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, or share this with a friend because it helps this podcast get out to everyone who needs it. All right, let's dive in. You lost over 100 pounds. You've been able to keep it off. So I think a big question people have is, what was the biggest mindset shift that helped you achieve that goal?
It's such a great question. I struggled with my weight as early as I can remember. I was always the chubby kid. I was always the bigger kid in class, and I never wanted to be, you know? And so weight became my biggest struggle. It was the thing I was known for. At 8 years old, I was sent to fat camp in upstate New York, and I had to lie to my friends that I was going to sports camp because I was so ashamed by it.
Yeah.
And I remember my biggest thought in my head constantly was, like, I would just pray to God, give me a different body. Just give me a different body, give me different circumstances. Let me be the naturally thin girl in the class who has no relationship with food. It's nothing to them. And I kept wishing and praying, and it never came. And so at 13 years old, I was going to high school, and I was at weight loss, fat camp, whatever you want to call it, for my maybe 5th or 6th year at that point. And I just remember looking down at my body and being like, you only have one body. You might as well make it rock. You're not getting this magic potion gift.
Yeah.
There is no genie. There are no 3 wishes. It's all onto you. Make the most out of it. And that was my biggest mindset shift that I'll never forget. Just like looking down and finally taking ownership and realizing it's not my parents' fault. It's not my genetics. It's not my circumstances. It's me, and I can do this.
That's a huge epiphany to have that young. I feel like I probably wasn't until like 27, 28 where I was like, wait, like your body, this is the one you got to embrace it, you got to love it. I feel like it came so much later for me. The fat camp you brought up, What happens at fat camp? What is that exactly?
There literally is an MTV show. There's a movie, Heavyweights, that they would show us in camp. It's all true. It was the same weight loss camp that was featured on that MTV series. I remember wearing a hoodie, hiding from the cameras all summer because I didn't tell my friends I was there. But, you get in, they weigh you, they measure you, you take before pictures, there are after pictures. Every week, your bunk has a scale day. When you guys go on the scale, you're all high-fiving. How much did you lose? How much did you lose? Your parents and friends can't send you packages without them getting investigated. You have kids sucking on Advil tablets because they're sugar-coated. You have people sneaking candy and gummy bears.
Yeah.
All true, all real. I never did that, though. I always looked at it as make the most of it. Lose as much weight as possible. And I think my parents sent me before I even realized what was going on. And so I'm very blessed and lucky that at a very young age, I actually have a very positive association with weight loss because it was summer camp. And I would go and I would come out looking great, getting a million compliments. My parents would buy me new clothes, except by December, January, all the weight had come back. And by the next summer, it was all back and more. So camp was almost like my refuge. It was exciting. And I adopted that yo-yo dieting pattern probably very early, where I would almost feel like I could eat whatever I want during the school year because I knew I was going back to weight loss camp. And I only realized that later on in life, that I was probably yo-yo dieting the way people traditionally do it now, where they, eat binge before Monday morning.
Yeah. And yo-yo dieting, we know, sets you up for metabolic mayhem. Can you talk a bit about that?
Absolutely. I also think it's important to note that it's not just metabolic mayhem. It does horrible things to your skin and your body. And I know everyone always asks me, what do you do with the excess skin? I want to lose weight, but I have excess skin. And of course there's skin. I have skin everywhere. But it's really
Let's hope so.
Yeah, exactly. But they're, especially after 3 kids, but it's really that yo-yo dieting pattern that I see people go into for so long that really messes with your body shape and skin tone and stretches you out and leaves you. So absolutely, it messes with people's metabolism, especially when they do horrific diet plans. I won't name, but there are some plans. One I have in mind in particular where people eat packaged foods every hour and they're calorie controlled, but there are a million ingredients of stabilizers and gums and all this stuff that's just messing with your gut health and your microbiome. And people do lose a lot of weight, but there's one diet in particular, any client I've ever spoken to, I've never heard of rapid weight regain quite like this, just because of it just destroys the metabolism. Just you're killing your muscle mass, you're depleting it, you're slowing down your metabolism, and also you're not teaching yourself anything about having a healthy relationship with food or building any lifelong habits because you're following their plan. I have to eat every hour, I have to eat every hour. So you never understand what to do afterwards.
Yeah.
So my whole goal in working with people and then also in working with myself is it's got to be simple, it's got to be sensible, but it has to be sustainable. And I talk about weight maintenance with my clients on day one when they have 100 pounds to lose. And they're like, Ilana, I don't care about maintaining, I just got to lose. I'm like, no. You always have to have the mindset of maintenance because we don't want to do this again.
What are the red flags of weight loss plans that people should know about? Because I feel so I've been in nutrition for over 2 decades. So I've seen the Atkins, the Special K diet, the Slim Fast, I feel like at this point I'm
totally.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm old because I've seen it all.
Me too. My parents did it my whole childhood.
And yet, so there's 2 things going on. There's one, the women who have never seen these things before. And the other is the women who've been indoctrinated to believe all of those things are normal. So what would you say?
I love the red flags.
Yeah,
question.
If you see these red flags, walk away. This is not going to result in the kind of weight loss you want, which is sustainable and good for your hormones.
Right. Love that question. Okay, huge red flag is anything sweeping and generalized. Okay, so gluten-free and dairy-free. Huge sweeping situation. Not everyone needs to be gluten-free and dairy-free. Also, a huge red flag is it what people have been doing for centuries and what people are doing in other countries of the world where they're just naturally thin and they don't have to struggle with their weight. So a great example is the dairy-free.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have plenty of people on this podcast who will argue all dairy is bad. But I just traveled to Iceland. Israel has incredible longevity and low rates of obesity.
Tell a French person not to eat cheese and let's see what happens.
Right. So it's like things like that always irk me. Even paleo for a while was hating on beans, I believe, or carnivore, whatever it is, like hating on beans. When we see beans are a true longevity food, and you see it in the blue zones. You see it in the cultures of the world where people are living the longest with the lowest rates, again, of diabetes and heart disease. So like, is the lecithins and beans so poisonous? Like, I just don't ascribe to that. So like, if it's not what people are doing in nations of our world where they're just living happily and free of dieting, then that's a huge red flag. Intermittent fasting, it's not that I'm against the concept, but like, if you're a busy mom who's getting her kids up at 5 a.m. and it also goes to work and this and that, is like, not eating till 1 gonna really work for you. So anything that's like really gonna challenge your lifestyle in a huge way, or is just very all or nothing. Black and white just isn't realistic. Black and white is not what works for marriages, what works for finances. Everything is gray. I love the gray. I live in the gray. Everyone hates the gray. Everyone's scared of the middle ground, scared of the moderation, scared of that. And I love to work on that. So anything that's telling you it's completely black or white, I'm highly against. It's a massive red flag. And people, sadly, always end up hurting their own self-esteem in the process. So yes, they lose weight, but then they're always beat themselves up. I didn't do it. I failed. And that's not when it's like the diet failed you.
Yeah.
So all red flags there. Anything that makes you extremely dependent on it. So I don't want people to be dependent on me long term. Like, that's not my goal. Even early on in my private practice, becoming a registered dietitian, I had people going on the scale themselves. And they'd be like, well, my last dietitian, where's your scale? Like, I have to weigh in with you. I'm like, I don't want you waiting till 11 a.m. after you've had your coffee, you're wearing 3 layers of clothes to go on the scale. Like, have your own scale. Like, tell me what it is. I don't think you're lying. And that was a big shift for people, even just in that private practice setting. And I just think that that's also a scam, that like you have to see someone to weigh in. No. Like, it's great for accountability, but you should have that embedded, within your own personal system, so you don't have to rely on me long term.
You brought up this emotional component. A lot of women will fall into emotional eating, sometimes binging on food because they've been restricting. How can women not fall into the trap of using restricting of food as a punishment for themselves?
It's a great question. I'm very objective. Like, I feel like I definitely have emotional eating past and can work through it, but I like objective data and try to think a little bit more level-headed on a lot of these things. And one thing that's been a really great tool for me has been the scale, because I love the scale. I have a very healthy relationship with it. I developed it early on because I saw that avoiding the scale all school year left me back at fat camp every June being like, whoa, I gained 50 pounds this school year. That's annoying. And then when I finally had that mindset shift and was like, I'm not doing this again, I have to get it the right way, I was like, Ilana, just look at the scale throughout the school year. And my first goal was don't regain the weight, just stay at this weight loss. And I used the scale to help me. And anytime I would fall into those negative patterns where I'd be like, you don't look good, you have a wedding, you gotta lose the weight, and don't eat. And then obviously it always falls into that binge and then that negative cycle of beating myself up. Okay, like I'd go on the scale, I'd be like, you literally gained 4 pounds because you thought that you needed this binge food. Like, now what? Like, now you don't even feel great. And I found that the scale actually helped me kind of lose a lot of those emotional eating tendencies where I'd be like, I'm so sad, I need comfort. And I would, have all this comfort food. And then I'd see, because I never avoided the scale, oh, I just gained 3 pounds. I'm still going through that breakup. I'm still mad at my friend. I'm still, like failing my test. My emotions aren't healed because I just ate 3 slices of pizza or a bundle of fries. And that really helped me see, like, what are these emotional like pedestals that we're putting all these foods on. They're just food. And you might as well get through this hard situation feeling good in my body, losing weight, not self-sabotaging what I really want to be. So objective data always help me kind of cut through the noise of the emotions. And I think it does a lot with my clients too. And I find it's when they avoid the scale, they start like thinking they're treating themselves, thinking they're, coping with their problems in a productive way, but it always ends up destructive. And I'd say that was something that was helpful for me, but everyone is different in that space.
Yeah. A lot of women fear the scale. It can be psychologically really distressing for some women. What would you say to them?
I find it's most distressing when people avoid it for long times.
Okay.
The longer you avoid it, the scarier it becomes. So often, people have it in their mind, especially in this day and age where you're getting dieting advice everywhere you look, whether you want it or not. It's everywhere. And so when people tell you, let's say, back to the gluten and dairy example, like that's toxic and that's poison and carrageenan and emulsifiers, that like we're getting bombarded, like not fasting, not, everything, keto. So you think, oh my gosh, like I just had a slice of birthday cake.
Yeah.
I'm horrible. I should feel guilty. I should feel shame, like because this is what society is telling me. The last thing I want to do is go on the scale. Whereas, like if they just went on the scale, they'd see, okay, so it went up half a pound. Who cares? You've lost half a pound a million times in your life. So I actually find it's really that $20 tool that's been around for centuries. That's actually non-judgmental and has you look at things of like, oh, maybe I don't need to intermittent fast. Oh, maybe I don't need to take 60,000 supplements. Maybe I don't need to cut this out and that out. This actually works for my body.
Yeah.
And so I find when people avoid it, they create this narrative of, oh, it's going to shame me. Oh, it's going to say something about my self-worth, when really it's just going to say how your body reacted to the choices and the food choices and the health behaviors you made. And so I recommend people go on it every morning just because I feel like that kind of cuts the emotion out and it makes it just a daily accountability tool with not a lot of emotion attached.
Yeah.
A lot of times when people have a lot of guilt and shame with it, it's because of childhood mentions of it, right? Like their parents had them go on the scale and say something about it, or a coach, or they just avoided it for 2 years of college, and then the first time they went back on, it was this shocking number that they're really embarrassed of. But I think if you have a healthy relationship with going on it more regularly, like once a week or whatever that is, it's less dramatic.
Yeah. I appreciate how you have brought up some of the pitfalls of diet culture, being like, avoid gluten, avoid dairy, lectins are going to kill you, right? Like all of these things that are whole foods. And from my perspective, the problem in the United States, which is one of the most obese countries in the world, is not kale, it's not oats, it's not beans, it's not whole foods. It's actually our consumption of ultra-processed foods. And I think that is really important for people to grasp.
1,000%.
It's not that, because you hear all of this noise, and whenever I see that, I think, really, are you out here telling people that a vegetable is going to be the thing that's harming their health when we know roughly 70% of the average American's diet is going to be ultra-processed food? Now, you have a philosophy of water first, veggies most.
Yep.
Super simple, super powerful.
It's timeless. And it always works. It's like everyone's obsessed with protein.
I love it as like timeless, like a Tiffany bracelet or something. You're like, it's timeless.
So timeless. That's why I had to trademark it, because it always works. Like anytime someone drinks more water and eats more veggies, they always lose weight.
Yeah.
So yes, protein's important, but you could also have too much, and get stocky or like water first, veggies most works. And, it's interesting. This morning I was even chuckling to myself because thinking about diet culture and everything, because I had a bunch of baby carrots, like a whole bag of baby carrots going bad in my refrigerator. So I just baked them. Like I just kind of like roasted all of these baby carrots, and I had like a whole bag of baby carrots because I do like to eat a lot, roasted last night as part of my dinner. And this morning the scale went down. And it's so funny. I was just thinking, like, it's so funny how people think carrots cause weight gain. Like there's so, like you said, like, it's kale, it's this, that. Like people create these wild claims and then have shame and fear and guilt and all the stuff around food versus like, I've always seen every time I eat an entire bag of baby carrots, the scale's only going down. My gut health only feels better. My digestion's on track and everything.
Yeah.
So this is this is one of those ways where I find like the scale and some objective data helps cut through the emotional reactions we have to weight loss advice.
Yeah, and I think for people who subscribe to the ancestral idea, would your ancestor ever come across a banana and say, oh, that has too much sugar, I'm not going to eat the banana? No, we ate the foods that we came across. I think, and then, people will come in and say, well, we've hybridized our food, we've done all, of course we have, we're smart, we're humans. Like, that's amazing. We actually we're able to evolve because of the amazing accomplishments we've made with our food. But break it down. When you're talking about the water, when you're talking about the veggies, what is it that you're actually doing with clients, and how does it help with weight loss?
Yeah. Well, these are like basic principles I do with everyone. Yeah. Private clients, it's definitely more individualized, but everyone, I have drinking more water. That's like, goes without saying.
Yeah.
Water first, veggies most. Water helps with weight loss in so many different mechanisms that I could go into. Just like there are so many reasons and ways in which water helps with weight loss. And it helps you feel full, it helps you feel energized, it improves your mood, it makes you want to feel healthier, have the energy to do so. It keeps you full, it actually keeps your stomach from rumbling. Like all day our stomach is making muscular contractions, and when there's nothing in your stomach, we interpret that as growling, I must eat right away. But when you drink lots of water, it actually absorbs those sounds. Your stomach really doesn't growl when you're drinking water all day. You don't feel as hungry. It takes up actual physical real estate in your stomach prior to meals, so you don't overeat afterwards, and that's been proven in several studies. So it's an amazing tool. It's also where weight goes. Like when you say, oh, I lost 30 pounds, it's through CO2 and H2O. It's literally how your body exits weight from the body. So more water, more weight loss. I always say that to be true. And veggies, and so water first is also prior to your meals. So throughout the day, but also prior to your meals. And veggies most, making your meals more rich in vegetables. And I find with like every diet fad, people want to like just keep throwing veggies under the bus. When you see it's like anytime someone was losing weight from Weight Watchers or paleo or keto even, it's because veggies are usually present there. And anyone who has a larger appetite like me, veggies are your best friend because that's what your stomach loves to fill up on for very low calories. And then that's really just for weight loss, let alone all the other benefits it's doing for your gut health and microbiome, which can be helpful for your metabolic health and so much more. So veggies really are your best friend. Anyone who tells me, oh, you know what, I'm just going to stick with all protein or this and that, or I'm just going to eat lots of high fat and do keto. Like, I don't really like vegetables. I always say, like, enjoy your weight loss for now. It's not going to last. Any woman, especially that you see over 50 years old, who's had kids, who's been through it, and is still maintaining a healthy weight and size, she's eating a salad probably every single day. She's doing it well. You go to Spain, you go to France, you go to Italy, you go past the namesake restaurants and what they're doing there. If you go into like countryside, they're not just eating veggies, they're celebrating them. And that's a huge culture shift in America where we see it as a punishment, a diet. It's healthy eating. It's normal, healthy, vibrant, delicious eating. And veggies have to be celebrated. And I love to do that.
Yeah. I really appreciate that you highlighted the fact that it is very much this culture in the U.S. that eating your broccoli is a punishment. Eating vegetables is a punishment. I think about like my father-in-law is someone who like his family, I'm not dissing anybody from the UK, okay? My assistants from the UK, I love them, but like the way that it was old school cooked was like, you just boil veggies down to nothing. And I think like, okay, it's really easy to like not like veggies when that's been your experience, but what you're talking about is celebrating them.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm like also a fan of roasted carrots. I think finding recipes and finding new ways to really enjoy them. I also think about how like when I was a kid, kale wasn't even a thing. And there were only two kinds of apples. They were red and green in the store.
Right.
And now we have like so much variety. Every time I'm in the States and I go to Whole Foods, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
This country has so much variety. Foods allergies do exist, guys. But, in terms of like the variety of vegetables that are now available, if you think you don't like vegetables, I would bet you just haven't found the right combination or way to prepare it for you.
Yeah.
You brought up the eating all meat. It is this, I find it absolutely bizarre. I'm probably going to get a comment on this podcast whenever I talk about how important fiber is. The data is irrefutable at this point. And I talk about how important fiber is, especially as you get into perimenopause, menopause. If you're not hitting 25 grams or more a day, belly fat will be upon you. The 100%. Research is clear. People will say, I disagree, you do not need fiber. What do you say to that?
I mean, it's such a no-brainer. I give people credit for feeling good without it, for saying that they're regular without it, but long-term health, it would really concern me. It would just really concern me because that's the food in which our gut microbes eat. Like that's what they feast upon. Yeah. And it's also so important for lowering your cholesterol levels and fiber is also a sweeper. It's also like the broom that just clears junk out of our body. Yeah. So without it, it's also like, aside from the benefits of fiber and the heart health benefits and the gut health benefits and the weight loss benefits and the blood sugar regulation benefits and all of that aside, and also teeth benefits of just like grinding the fiber and teeth integrity, it's also just balance. Like it's also just completely unbalanced to only eat meat. Yeah. And I'm a big proponent of balance, especially for the next generation to prevent weight loss. So 90% of my career thus far has really been focused on weight loss and helping people achieve a healthy relationship with food and lose weight long-term and feel good and feel satisfied. But I also have an emerging aspect of my business and my future career, which is my program Raising Balanced Eaters for children and for this next generation. And the key word is always balance. Like even last night with my family, like we did have pizza, but it's not without roasted broccoli. It's not without salmon on the side. And at a very young age, my kids know when we go to a pizza store, we always get a Caesar salad. It's not even like a question. It's like pizza and Caesar salad. Like they love it. They love the croutons. I always say it's like the gateway salad. It's a great way to get in. And then when I speak to people who are in that dieting mode and the dieting mindset, it's like, I'm all or nothing. I either can't eat pizza or I eat the whole pie of pizza. And so now I'm not eating pizza because I'm losing 50 pounds. And it's like, but you have to understand the gray. You have to understand the balance that it'll be okay in the future for weight maintenance and even along your weight loss journey to have a slice of pizza or maybe even two. But the third is where we get into trouble. And if you're not having that Caesar salad, there's always going to be a third if you're someone who likes to eat. And so the problem with the meat eaters who are saying you don't eat fiber and you don't need plants for some reason, which is so ridiculous in my opinion, or just unbalanced, is that it's inherently going to be too much meat. Even with veggies. You could be too unbalanced with veggies. You could eat too many veggies and forget about protein. So it has to be a relationship. And be able to tolerate multiple food groups at a time if you want your body to be able to get the benefits from all this incredible food.
Yeah. Well, and I like that you validate that people who do carnivore, they may experience benefits because anytime we do an elimination diet for people, we do see improvement.
Almost
this
always.
is an extreme improvement. What I get really concerned about, especially for women who do not understand the importance of fiber, they'll dismiss the microbiome, they'll dismiss a lot of these things, is that without fiber, you do not excrete your estrogen efficiently. So now we've got women who are consuming meats who, often, it's very economical, right, to choose the non-grass fed. So it's, what I'm saying is that it's cost prohibitive to eat in a way where you're only eating the least exposure to hormones meat. So we've got the hormonal influence of the animals. We've got the inability, now you've just hindered your detox system for removing the excess estrogen. And then we've got xenoestrogens. I don't care if you don't eat out of plastic and you don't drink out of plastic water bottles, you're still getting exposed to it. Yeah. And I think that is one of the biggest concerns for me, is that these xenoestrogens, these environmental toxins, they will not be removed from your system if you do not have the microbiome, the fiber. Fiber's got to interact with the bile and we've got to get it out. Now we're looking at possibly accumulation, bioaccumulation of these toxins, but also a negative impact on your ovaries, whether it's impacting your fertility or how rough perimenopause is going to be for you. Totally. We're not talking enough about that.
Yeah. I say it all day. You have to be eating 25 grams of fiber. I love that you said that. It's just shocking that Americans aren't even getting close. I mean, I'm probably getting double. It doesn't feel that hard, especially in today's day and age where like high fiber bread is not so expensive and doesn't have to taste like cardboard anymore.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of great brands out there. And vegetables, like it doesn't take so much vegetable. It's like, adding some cauliflower rice to your smoothie. Like get it in. You got to get it in. Fiber is just, it's so important. And also just keeps you full.
Yeah.
You know, keeps you fuller, longer. I mean, I could talk about fiber all day. I'm with you 100%.
Well, especially in the context of a weight loss conversation, it is something I think when people recognize, I call it the 25-25, less than 25 grams of added sugar, 25 grams or more of fiber. If you do those two things, you will start seeing a shift in your weight.
100%. I would place money on that bet all day long. And now, you know, protein is obviously a really hot topic and obviously very, very important. But there's this notion on the internet, eat one gram of protein for every 1 pound of body weight. And I had one client who was extremely successful with me, and she's a doctor, and she had lost a lot of weight with me, and she was doing great. And then we have this session, and she just looks almost like swollen, and she was saying like I gained back like 15 pounds. I really fell into that like 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight thing, and it's almost impossible to do that without taking so many supplements. So she was like taking a protein powder and then adding collagen to this and then and now you're taking all these like processed, protein things, and then there's no room. You feel so full because protein is very satisfying. You feel so full. There's no room for veggies, and she was just like a mess hormonally, like you said, digestively, and just the weight gain came. The second we reverted back to water first, veggies most, protein at every meal, but not in excessive quantities. She leveled out, started feeling better right away. Yeah.
Well, I love that you brought up the protein conversation because right now we see this big trend of people saying, oh, Americans are not getting enough protein. But actually, when you break it down, it's fiber they're not getting enough of. They're getting enough protein. And it's been something that I remember when I was in nutrition school talking about the protein imbalance and how certain populations are overdoing their protein and they're not getting enough of these vegetables. And so beyond fiber, what are the benefits of vegetables for people to understand? Like, what else is that delivering to you?
Oh, I mean, I love talking about this with the kids, especially because it's really like the buddy that goes through your system, kind of like shaking hands with all your organs and making sure everyone's okay. So, I mean, with the carrots, for example, they can help with your eye health, the zeaxanthin, very important for keeping your night vision going. And just very important, vitamin A, powerful antioxidant, really preventing you from getting sick. In all the dark green leafy vegetables, we have a whole host of nutrients. We have the chlorophyll. We have iron, really important for energy and your immune system. There's so many women, my friends are exhausted all day. I need more caffeine. I'm like, where is your iron? And then also someone I know who always got sick, checked out, like your iron levels are low. And this definitely happens with some women who are not eating enough greens and are probably not eating enough meat and proteins either. They're sticking with just like carby things like bagels and crackers and snacks and stuff like that. So definitely getting a whole host of that. Our B vitamins that are in whole grains and in our fruits and veggies. I mean, we need all of these micronutrients. And also like magnesium. Magnesium is a really hot topic now because we see that magnesium deficiency is really common, and that affects your mood, that can affect your metabolism, that can affect your blood sugar control. Magnesium is so rich in our greens and our vegetables. Like sure, you find it in nuts, but like when you're getting all your veggies, you're also boosting your magnesium stores. So like I'm not anti-supplements. I take supplements myself, but we need to be getting a whole host of colors and variety in our fruits and vegetables all week. And certainly with the cruciferous veggies, obviously everyone knows someone with cancer right now. And it's sad. It's not like one person with cancer. You probably know multiple people with cancer now or who have died of cancer, or whoever had cancer. And those cruciferous vegetables, the kale, the cabbage, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, like these are the most anti-cancerous things you can get. They're literally have been proven in study over and over and over to help prevent cancer and to help fight cancer cells, and it's incredible. But sadly, I don't know, like Green Giant must not have enough marketing dollars or whatever it is, but it just doesn't get that same.
No, but I will hear people say that where they're like, oh, Big Vegetable is like marketing you to eat vegetables. And I laugh
that's
because
so
I'm
funny.
like,
I wish.
I'm like, no, Big Food actually is pushing out Big Vegetable.
Yeah.
Low Green Giant is out because they're subsidizing corn and soy, canola.
These ones that do not have the powerful antioxidants that I'm referring to.
Yeah, I'm like, trust me, if you care about your local community, dollar vote for vegetables with your local farmer. It's one of the
100%.
biggest impacts that you can have. You bring up, like, I feel like this whole time we're talking about, like, just do this and do that. But I think about the busy mom. I think about the people, the busy mom, right? And I think you've probably been there. I think every mom has been there. If you haven't, tell me your hacks. Where you're, like, running around and you're just like, I'm eating the leftovers off my kid's plate right now because, like, life is just so busy in this moment. And sometimes it's seasons, but sometimes it's nonstop. What do you say to the busy mom who's like, it's not just that simple. It's actually quite difficult for me. How can they help them navigate this?
Well, first of all, I am like really in that season now. Like I have 3 kids, 3, 6, and 9. I feel like my 3rd kid totally took us over the edge in terms of like mental capacity and everything. Like I had 2 kids in my bed last night. That's not common, but it just happened.
Yeah.
I feel like I am that bombarded mom. So I understand it more now than ever. And I actually have a little guilt of seeing these moms earlier on in my career before I had kids and giving them advice because...
Oh my God, I feel this.
Yeah, I'm a little guilty.
Oh, I feel this.
The judgments you have of mothers before you have kids, and it's not that I was judging them, but just the solutions I was providing.
Yes,
right.
You were like, oh, I'm so clever. Why don't you just do this? And then after I had my child, I was like, oh... Every patient should have just slapped me and been like, shut up. Like, just no. Because I'm like, I thought it was so easy.
Totally.
So easy.
Totally. And even one less kid, I just feel like I had a better manage of everything. So, and I got more sleep and all these things that help. So I'm definitely that busy mom. I totally get it. We are very, very blessed, however, in 2025 now of these incredible companies that have come out of the woodwork making healthy convenience more applicable for us. So like, I'm very blessed. I have a healthy meal delivery service. I don't always order it for myself, but on busy weeks I do. So it's called Ilana Meals, and that's extremely helpful. And every meal is high in fiber and calorie controls and whole meals and everything, whole ingredients and everything like that. So there's definitely healthier meal delivery service options now. But even Goodles, like I'm the nutrition advisor for Goodles. I don't know if you know it, but it's a mac and cheese. And I just don't know. I literally had it for breakfast this morning because when we make it for lunch, we all end up taking a bowl for breakfast because it's so good right off of the stove. But it's a mac and cheese that's just as easy as a Kraft box or an Annie's box, but so much more fiber, so much more protein, iron, and it's the same ease and convenience of mac and cheese. And again, I can't believe they were able to bring down the price. The same thing now is 20 years ago, we didn't have cauliflower fried rice. When I was losing weight, I would have killed for cauliflower fried rice. I was on frozen broccoli with spray butter. I was in that phase. But now cabbage steaks and I have recipes for cauliflower nachos and it's not a lot of work. My recipe book, my cookbook, Love the Food That Loves You Back, it's so simple. I mean, I'm saying cauliflower nachos might sound complicated, but I'm just gonna break it down. It's a frozen bag of cauliflower. It doesn't have to be raw, washed, soaked with baking soda, whatever you want. It literally could be a frozen bag that's inexpensive, pre-washed. You throw that on a baking sheet, you top it with shredded cheese, you pour on some jarred salsa, you have a veggie. And I'm not saying it's not sodium from the salsa or whatever it is, but I'm telling you, that's less sodium, more fiber, less sugar than you're gonna get from any sort of takeout restaurant, and it's a quarter of the price. And then you just pair it with whatever protein everyone else is eating, and a lot of times your kids will literally reach over and start eating your good, delicious food. So I love salad kits. Sometimes the dressings are not the most ideal when it comes to seed oils and ingredients, but at least pre-cut, pre-washed lettuce and even salad kits in a pinch, it's all getting you one step healthier than you were before. And I think all those easy, convenient things we have now should be celebrated, and we should really try not to demonize them because they're not perfect, because they're actually perfect for that busy person who's gonna be all or nothing. They're either gonna get a pie, a pizza, and fries, or they're going to have a salad kit with maybe non-optimal seed oils, but they're getting in fiber, they're eating vegetables, they're having the crunch, the munch, the, all that good stuff for the gut health otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you explaining this balance. Like, I'm very much with you in this. I think the gray is the place to be. And often when these conversations are going on where people are like, no processed food of any kind, like I'm in the like ultra processed food doesn't need to exist. Like if you're in the military and you're deployed, okay, maybe we need ultra processed food for that, but like not for the average person. People conflate that with processed food to say, well, that's bad. Pre-cut salad, that's, that's processed in a way. The mac and cheese that you're talking about, that's processed. That's therefore that's bad. What gets left out of this conversation is the single mom, the disabled person. People do not have the ability to cook from scratch.
Totally.
Like they don't have the resources, they don't have the ability. And when we villainize those things, it's hurting everybody.
Everyone.
It's very interesting because there's a creator called Crutches and Spice on TikTok, and she had made a statement one time saying, when accommodations are made for disabled people in our community, it benefits everybody. And I'm like, this is so true. When you consider that we still need to have access to those foods, it actually alleviates the mom shaming and the guilt and on everyone else, because it's like, it's okay to access these foods. I'm curious, 3 kids, staying grounded is not always easy. What are some of your non-negotiables that you're like, that you can model for other people that help you stay grounded through the day?
Yeah, I have to get out of the house and work out first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And that's like not because I'm like the fittest person in the world. It's just because like I need my time before my kids take it from me. And I don't understand moms or other parents who don't need that. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I've tried. My kids wake me up on the weekend and I'm just grouchy. And that's just maybe my personal thing where I just like my space. I like having my time. I have to fill up my cup because I'm helping people all day, my clients, my kids. If I don't have that time to just like be alone in the car, like even forget the workout, just like to have that alone time in the car, alone time to like listen to my own podcast. Without that, I'm not well. I'm short with everyone. I don't have the same type of patience to have the conversations that need to be had. So I have to get up and every single morning I get up at 5:25 and I go work out, and I'm very bullish about when I go to sleep. Like I need to be lights out, no talking, nothing's happening past 10:30. My husband will try to have a conversation with me at 10:15. I'm like, tick, 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 like watch that time because it's game over. And so he goes to sleep at a different time, and that's fine. We're married, many years, and it just works. So sleep and time to myself to exercise and move my body are certainly the things that keep me grounded and allow me to follow through with the water first and veggies most and all the other things I want to do.
I want to highlight that it wasn't food-based, what you just said. And what you said is so universal. I think for so many moms, it's the same. I mean, for me, it is. Like, my husband knows, like, if she doesn't get a workout in, no one's going to want to be around her.
Totally.
She's not a nice person. And, I think it's in part because I've got this energy and that I have, I haven't worked through like that aspect that my body's like, we crave this, we need this. And it's inside being a little toddler throwing a fit that it didn't get it. This sleep is also non-negotiable. And those are 2 things I really want to highlight to people that we let slide as moms a lot of times. It's so easy to be like, I don't really have time for my workout, or I think this is completely understandable, and I hear this all the time with patients. By the time the kids finally go to bed, we all know what bedtime is like. Yeah. I don't want to go to bed. I want to spend time with my partner. I want my alone time.
Right.
And then we start falling into the trap of being sleep deprived. Totally. And this, we've been talking about weight loss, and for people to understand that just having less sleep than what you actually need can negatively impact your weight.
Oh, it's huge. I always tell my clients, you're not sleeping, like you can still lose weight, but it's going to feel like you're walking on quicksand versus concrete. Yeah. It is so much harder. Your cravings are up, your hunger's up. What tells you you're full and satisfied is down. Your leptin hormone is down. You're foggy. You don't have the energy to work out. You see water, you see Coca-Cola. The thing with the sugar and the caffeine is going to draw you way further, way closer. So, sleep is really important. And I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah. You're in LA, which I feel like is the capital of Ozempic these days.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. What do you wish people knew about Ozempic when it comes to weight loss goals?
So there's so much I can say on this. I have some clients on it. I have a client now who's a doctor who's on tirzepatide. And what's really fascinating is she lost weight on it and then literally started gaining 10 pounds back on it. Emotional eating and so forth. And what's really interesting that I'm seeing is very similar to the stomach stapling, right? So when stomach stapling and the Roux-en-Y surgery, gastric bypass, when the balloon, like when all of that was out, because I was around for that too, people would lose a lot of weight. And then slowly, 2-3 years later, it started coming back. And you saw it's because the sugar addiction was still there.
Yeah.
The underlying emotional eating is still there. And so you find a way to kind of manipulate the system where you're still having those like 2 bagels a day, but you're like taking small bites and just throughout the day. But it's still your source of comfort. It's still your hobby. It's still your friends. It's still, so we're definitely seeing that. Like I'm totally seeing that. I'm also seeing people play with the doses where the dosing is a disaster. Like I'm just gonna say that across the board. Like hopefully there are physicians who are prescribing it listening. The dosing is a disaster. And the theory on it is all a mess. Like I have this one 16-year-old girl who came up to me who was like, I feel like I should up the dose because I'm feeling hungry again. I'm like, it's normal to have an appetite. And people are taking such high doses so they feel no hunger. And that's really a high risk factor for like not eating enough calories, starting to waste away, starting to lose the muscle, put you at really high risk of not just bone fractures down the line, but also just weight regain and metabolic disturbances. So I think the dosing is the key with the meds. I'm not anti them, but I do think people should be on as little as possible to help them maybe create space for maybe silencing whatever that food noise is and being less impulsive with food and being able to take a little bit more time to make a healthy choice. But not too much that it's like destroying your appetite and you're losing weight too quickly and now you're coming into those issues. I also think if you're taking that lower dose, that's just helping moderately. And so maybe you're losing, 2 pounds a week and not 4, then it also allows you a little bit more confidence that you can also come off of these meds eventually, wean off and not need them long term. Sadly, though, because people are paying for them, they're like, well, I'm paying for it. I'm going to get the highest dose ever. So there's a lot of messiness to them. Again, I'm not anti the meds. I welcome clients who are on them. I really think I actually had the first client ever who was on it because I have a client who's extremely successful and high up in healthcare. And he called me so many years ago and he was like, I have the thing that's literally going to change the whole wide world, but I've lost like 80 pounds and I have no muscle and I can barely stand. And I was like, what is this man talking about? And then it's like 3-4 years later, it's Ozempic, it's here. So, I've been around them for a while. I'm a little concerned just about the long term. I also know people personally who are on them who are eating brownies and all these things that they never ate before. Like when they were focused on losing weight in a healthy way, they were actually just eating kind of healthier. And now it's almost permission to kind of eat whatever you want in a way. And I'm literally at dinner parties here in LA, classic, where people are talking about being on Ozempic while literally grabbing the candy dish. So I'm a little concerned about that, is that, again, what are the long-term healthy habits it's helping you create? Now, I have some people saying, just getting off the first 15 is giving me a little bit more energy. It's making me want to exercise. So, there are benefits, but with everything, it's a delicate dance that has to be navigated.
I think weight loss is a complex issue to address. And anytime we have a complex issue to address, we use every tool in our toolkit. We look at them and we say, what's going to work best? I think we always struggle and potentially cause harm when we decide to go with just one tool. Though, and I think that is the downside of Ozempic, is when a clinic doles it out without any discussion of what is your exercise routine, how are you eating, how's your emotional state, how is your sleep. We have to take that holistic approach. And, to your point about dosing, if people are not familiar, there's guidelines that, most of the time guidelines are put out by the pharmaceutical companies, and it generates a lot of money for them. And as doctors, we always have to question. So the starting place is 0.25 milligrams, and you do that for 4 weeks, and then you increase. And you increase until you hit the goal of 2.5 milligrams. Majority of people don't need 2.5 milligrams.
Totally.
They don't need that high of a dose, and that's where we see these extreme side effects. And so I think it's wise to raise the question of, what are you really doing with the dosing on the individual level? Are you following a schedule? Why? Why are you just following a schedule? Because if your patient gets to 0.5 and they're noticing weight loss, they don't have food noise anymore, they're having a better relationship with food, maybe alcohol is gone. Like, that's something we're seeing as well. The rosé all day, it goes away, and they're like, I'm not craving a glass of wine at the end of the day. Like, these are positive things. Just leave them there, because they're not, and if they're not having side effects, like, fantastic. Are they going to drop 10 pounds in the next 6 weeks? No, unlikely. But do we really want that for people anyways? Like, that's really, I mean, I get it's like, people do want the quick fix, like, right, I'm getting married. I can definitely be empathetic to that. But I think as prescribers, we have to be really wise about how we leverage these medications and never just following a schedule without considering how is this affecting the individual.
There's very few people who are prescribing this. Like, I had a friend so nauseous, literally falling over on Saturday. I was like, what's going on? He's like, the meds. I was like, dude, go on a lower dose if you're having so much nausea. He's like, no, I can't. I have like 8 more to go. I just got to keep moving. He's not seeing a doctor. He literally said he said, if you have a pulse, you could get Ozempic. He literally said he went on some sort of website. He put in his height and weight. He never had to do anything more than that. It's crazy. There was no blood labs, nothing, nothing. So I think it's kind of a wild west out there, and that's concerning. But
for people who want to come off Ozempic, right? We're seeing more people are like, after 2 years, they just don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
How do you advise them to approach that?
Yeah, I think definitely start weaning off. You know, like this one person I know who's reaching for brownies. I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, well, I don't want to get too skinny. I'm like, so start weaning off the meds. Nah, why would I wean off the meds? Like, my insurance is covering it. It's just so whack. People are getting really
sometimes
whack with these.
Like, I will be, I sympathize with that, because I get this from patients where they're like, no, I've paid for my insurance for so long, they do absolutely nothing for me, but they're doing this one thing for me, so I
get the best thing for my buck.
Exactly.
People do that with cruises, like they think they have to eat their way through a cruise. And I was like, take advantage of the gym. You're paying for the gym. If you don't use the gym, you're not getting your money's worth. So I would definitely advise people to be their own advocate. If your prescriber is trying to give you a bigger and bigger dose, like definitely don't do that. Highly recommend for people who are on these medicines, it's really a great opportunity to learn my weight loss program, my 2B Mindset weight loss program, because a lot of times people are scared to go on a healthy eating plan because they're scared they're going to be hungry on it or they're going to have cravings. Well, if you're like really subsiding your hunger and your cravings, now's a really good time to learn my Plate It method, all my nutrition recommendations, because now you could just follow it and you can learn to eat vegetables and learn to like them more, and go to, I would just say, like, taper down on the dose, eventually get to the point where you're doing like every other week at a low dose, see how that feels, and slowly try to get off, because long-term, we don't know the long-term benefits. We know people have been on these meds for, at least 5 years now. So it's like, quote unquote, how bad could it be? But at the same time, we're starting to see like depression come out of it, right? The same reason why people aren't as interested in alcohol is because a lot of things are getting dumbed down. Like, all that pleasure center is starting to get a little messed with and dumbed down. And now you're seeing, look, I have a friend who literally had to go on Zoloft because of Ozempic, because it literally made her depressed, and no one's talking about that. So it could also be a dosing issue, or maybe a time on it issue. But I think people should be encouraged to slowly, gradually get off of it. And if you're scared to get off of it, which many people are, it's a good idea to gradually get off of it while incorporating healthy habits that are more sustainable, which, I'm happy to help with.
Awesome. Well, for everybody listening, you send us the links and we will link your program, your book, everything, all the resources, so that people can learn more about you, be able to work with you, because I think you have, one, you walk the talk, you've lived the life, and you have been successful in what you do, but you take a very balanced, non-dogmatic approach, and I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If this is the kind of content you're into, then I highly recommend checking out this.